Methodist Church. And I thank you for joining us today. In 2021, Fremont United Methodist Church, during the Lenten season, is hosting a Mission and Ministry series. In this series, we will be inviting into conversation individuals or an individual that operates within a ministry or mission that is supported by the United Methodist Church and of interest to the people at Fremont United Methodist. I have invited several folk into conversation, a space and a place to talk about that which they are called to, and that in which they live out their own call in following Christ. We will be having conversation like the one that is to follow, and it will be presented each week during the Lenten season. On Friday mornings at 10 a.m., the videos will be released. And I invite you to come into those places and spaces, to join us with an open mind to hear, an open heart to dream, an open soul to believe that God calls us to places outside of ourselves, that God calls us into places maybe we've never even dreamed of yet. And as we do dream forward toward the rest of 2021, 2022, and beyond, perhaps in this series, you will find your heart strangely warmed for a new ministry, or revitalized for a ministry that you were aware of, but we have new ways that we can participate. Welcome to our Mission and Ministry series.
GreenvilleWesley is the official United Methodist campus ministry at East Carolina University and Pitt Community College. Our mission and vision is to proclaim the belovedness of students at ECU and PCC by equipping students to create beloved community for all students. Put simply, we're all about all students knowing they are God's beloved.
GreenvilleWesley helps me know that I'm a beloved member of the community through the fellowship it provides and through the people that are in it. My best friends are in GreenvilleWesley, and these are the people that I go to with all of the hard life things and that have been helping me get through classes and get through this social distancing and the isolation that comes with it during this difficult time. It's a feeling of love, it's a feeling of community, it's a feeling of affection, camaraderie, and it's all of the things that you could want in a community through God.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
Hey, I'm Jason Layton, and I serve on the board of directors for the Wesley Foundation. And one of the reasons I do this is I see it as an act of love. I want to help provide a space where you can discern your faith, your identity, and find out how those things come together. And so in that, I am sharing my understanding of what it is to be the beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am 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 beloved.
Hi, my name's Brianna Collins. I'm a GreenvilleWesley alumni. GreenvilleWesley taught me that no matter what your path may look like beyond college, and no matter how far you may stray from your faith, you are and will always be a beloved child of God. It also taught me many ways in how to share that kind of love with others. Ultimately, GreenvilleWesley gave me the knowledge and the people that remind me even to this day just how loved I am by God. And you are too.
I'm GreenvilleWesley, and I'm beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, the campus minister at GreenvilleWesley. I so appreciate you taking the time today to be a part of what God's doing in the lives of young adults. I want you to think back to your time at college, or maybe your children's time or grandchildren's time. Who were those people who helped you to know God's deep love for you? How much did you need to know and to feel and trust that truth? College can be such a profound time of change and uncertainty in the life of a young person. What a great opportunity to remind them of God's loving embrace. College is a season to form one's view of the world and to find your place in it. What a great opportunity to invite students into the work of building God's beloved community. You are loved. You are called to love. So let's help students respond to that call and to know that truth together.
We are GreenvilleWesley, and we are beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
I'm GreenvilleWesley, and I'm beloved.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
We could use your help. Proclaiming belovedness and building beloved community takes all of us together. We are in need of your help to pray. Would you join with us in praying for and with college students? To sojourn. Would you join us as we journey alongside young adults at college? To give. Would you join us in making an ongoing financial contribution? To lead. Would you partner with us and help us lead all students into belovedness? And to advocate. Would you join us in telling God's story through GreenvilleWesley? Would you join us in this important work? I hope you'll consider making a financial contribution to the work of Jesus Christ at GreenvilleWesley today, because it takes an entire community, a community of belovedness.
I am GreenvilleWesley, and I am beloved.
Well, hello, everyone. Shannon Marie, as you know, and with me today is Jeremy Benton. And my beautiful gift of my time in getting to know Jeremy is that I serve on the board of the GreenvilleWesley. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about GreenvilleWesley. And we'll also talk a little bit about Wesley Foundation as a whole and what that means to our men and women in college as they walk this journey and they're trying to figure out their own faith as they do this thing called college. Because I don't know about you all out there, but I will say I had very interesting questions that I ran into when I was in my undergrad, and clearly when I went to seminary. You come up with questions, and it's helpful to have faith leaders that aren't necessarily your pastor at home there to be with you. So welcome, Jeremy. It is good to have you with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to start with really quickly, just an opening question of what is the mission of GreenvilleWesley? If you had to come up with a mission statement or a vision or something like that.
Yeah. So because GreenvilleWesley is a campus ministry, of course, our work is focused on students, so young adults at college. And so our mission and vision is all about them. And so the way in which we have sensed God calling us to be about that work alongside college students is to be about proclaiming God's belovedness over them. And so there's lots of different pieces that go into that, but basically it just means reminding students that God loves them, not because of anything they've done or anything they have, but because of who they are in God and who they are in the work of Jesus Christ. And so that's really the work that we are really called to do in the lives of students in lots of different ways. It's all about belovedness.
So I happen to know that this GreenvilleWesley that you work with is more than one school that you kind of use as an area. Who are the schools that you're working with?
Yeah, so GreenvilleWesley is chartered to reach both institutions of higher education in Greenville, North Carolina. So that includes East Carolina University and also Pitt Community College. So Pitt Community College is on the south side of town. It's technically in Winterville, right on the edge, and ECU is on the northern part of town. And so they're in the same region, but they're a good distance apart in terms of college student distance. You want to put it that way?
Sure. Thank you. So just real quickly, how were you called to Greenville Wesley? And in that question, share a little bit about where you are from, because you don't sound North Carolinian at all.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but I'm working on my y'alls, and of course I love my barbecue and sweet tea. But I didn't know I do not hail from these parts of the world. Originally from the Michigan area. I grew up in the suburbs of metropolitan Detroit in Michigan. That's where I also went to college. Went to school at Duke Divinity School, and then returned back to Michigan to do some work in local churches. I am an ordained elder, and so I served at local churches there before my time at GreenvilleWesley here in North Carolina. What drew me to this space was God's movement in my life. As a college student, I really enjoyed math and science, and felt like that was something that maybe I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That notion was quickly disabused in the first semester of college, where I took calculus and physics and all sorts of classes that, of course, were part of my declared major, astrophysics. And I discovered that the college of my choice, thanks be to God, I can say that on the backside of things, was definitely not a good fit for me. It was a difficult time academically and spiritually and socially. And I thank God for that, because that ill fit for me moved me in the direction of sensing God's call and claim on my life to a vocation of ordained ministry. So in transferring schools in the middle of my sophomore year, of course, as a transfer student, you're the last person to register for classes. So you get to register for all the goodies that nobody wants or needs for their major, which typically are religious studies courses, among some others. Being someone whose faith was vitally important to them, I was happy to take those courses, but I heard in the back of my head the voice of my mother, as any loving parent who cares for their children. She was asking me, what are you going to do with that to support yourself, Jeremy? How are you going to earn a living doing that? Well, I took the course anyway, and began this stirring in my soul and my spirit about ministry as a vocation. And so I worked through that calling. It was a very uncertain and difficult time, as I wondered how God could use me in ministry. This white male doing just fine in life. I wasn't sure what kind of story or testimony I had to offer. That was terribly disconcerting to me as a college student, trying to figure out who I was and what God was calling me to do in the world. And I'm grateful for my campus ministry that was really supportive. My chaplain, my friends at my campus ministry, the Wesley Fellowship at Albion College, all those people prayed over me, encouraged me, nurtured me, and supported me as I discerned that call to ministry, which really I rely upon daily, still to this day, to provide me the fuel and passion to continue to work with students today. That's really where I find my grounding as I continue to walk along students in these uncertain spaces in the midst of their lives today in college.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And what would you say makes Greenville Wesley unique? And this might be a good place and space to just kind of talk about Wesley Foundations as a whole. But then I do want you to step back into what is it about Greenville Wesley? I know the answer because I get to hang out with them and be a part of that and walk in the lives of some of these students, which I feel very blessed to do. And but just kind of give us some framework in case somebody watching this is not familiar with the concept of a Wesley Foundation.
Right, sure. So we are a part of a very large and unique denomination in the Protestant tradition known as United Methodism. We're unique in the sense that we're a global connection. So unlike Episcopalians and Lutherans and other mainline Protestants typically who are centric in the United States, we are a global body. So that's one of the ways in which United Methodism is this wonderful ministry that reaches so many people in different spaces. Here in America in the 40s, our denomination began to wake up to the need to meet the needs of students at college on public universities. So we had all these wonderful private institutions that our denomination founded because we have, of course, have always valued education, always from the days of John and Charles Wesley. And so we realized that we were really needed to reposition ourselves well to also meet the spiritual needs of students at public universities. And so in the 40s, we began founding all of these wonderful things called Wesley Foundations at public universities all throughout the country. The first one being the University of Illinois in Champaign. And that was the first one. Our Wesley Foundation was chartered in 1942, one of the earliest in the state. And so we really have been around as this ministry to kind of reach students on behalf of United Methodism at public universities. Our story at Greenville Wesley is that we were an outgrowth of a local church here in Greenville. So Jarvis Memorial United Methodist Church, the lovely ladies there walked across the street and started to build relationships with the ladies at that point in time at East Carolina Teachers College, and began a ministry of providing some tea and cookies and newspaper clippings. So that's how the ministry started. And what makes us unique, just in the landscape of ministries, at ECU and other public universities, of course, we have to operate within a space of hospitality on behalf of the university. Ultimately, we are guests of the university. Being a public institution, I'm not an employee of the college in the way that a chaplain is at, let's say, Methodist here in North Carolina. So we are ultimately guests of the university, and we don't just meet the needs of United Methodist students. We're seeking to meet the needs of all students who long to know Jesus and to call upon Jesus as their own Lord and Savior. As we do that work, our particular campus ministry at Greenville Wesley, of course, operates with other Christian campus ministries and also non-Christian campus ministries within the campus at ECU. There's probably a little over 20 that are active that are Christian campus ministries at ECU. By and large, the bulk of them are either parachurch groups like Campus Crusade for Christ, or non-denominational churches here in town. There are, out of that 24 that are considered mainline denominations that we're a part of. So we occupy a unique space in that regard. But in terms of like what we offer unique to students is a diverse and meaningful community. Greenville Wesley is all about community. Students are in the midst of so much uncertainty and transition as they try to figure out who they are, who they believe God to be, trying to figure out what things they want to hold on to that they grew up learning from their faith communities, or maybe not faith communities, and how that new understanding and learning might impact what they want to do with the rest of their life, or maybe just what's next. So really what we offer that's unique in terms of campus ministry is just a space, a safe and loving space to kind of explore and figure that stuff out, and determine, what is God doing in my life, and how can I be a part of what God's doing in the world?
Sure. Thank you for that answer. And I'll just add, I find it very interesting how the students, particularly at Greenville Wesley, they are definitely engaged young people. And one of the ways that you all do that at Greenville Wesley is through your student interns, your leadership interns.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us just a little bit about what that particular program is? Because I know that's maybe not a completely unique thing, but in our setting, it is a unique circumstance to have them. Can you talk to us a little bit about who those individuals are, the work that they do as well?
Yeah, so that style of student leadership is unique, not just in our state, but in terms of our connection nationwide. Typically, campus ministries will ask students to volunteer their time to help guide, lead, and shape a campus ministry, so that it involves and takes into account the perspective of student needs. Of course, if you're looking to make campus ministry be all about students, you should probably have some students in leadership. And so one of the ways that we've chosen to do that is to not ask them to volunteer their time, but to pay them for their time. And so as a means to both internalize what it means to be a formal leader, to take an interview, to be sign a job contract, all these life skills that hopefully students are gaining, we would like to provide that opportunity too. Of course, more importantly, and over and above that, it provides students an opportunity to formally be responsible and expected to guide and shape and lead our ministry through setting up some goals, doing some visioning work each year, assessing those goals, helping lead worship, leading a small group Bible studies, all these ways in which they're formally leading Wesley alongside myself they're also calling up other students to lead alongside them as a means of cultivating future leaders for formal leadership. So it really is a unique way that we're calling students to really practice what Christian leadership looks like.
That's excellent. Thank you. So this is an odd question to ask you,
Okay.
but as clergy people, I feel that part of our call is to work ourselves out of a job, for lack of a better term. You know, if you and I didn't show up for worship one day, would the congregation be able to do all the things? Granted, the sacrament piece becomes missing because that is a part of our particular call of ministry. But how would you know if the work of GreenvilleWesley was complete?
That is a very good question. I'd answer that a couple of ways. Working in campus ministry means you have a finite time. Of course, that's true of anything, but the finite time is usually structured around 4 years. Of course, that is no longer being more and more the case, but I have a semester, 4 years, a year, a certain amount of time to be able to work alongside these students. And so when they leave, whether that be graduating or transferring, withdrawing, or whatever it is, I have to ask ourselves, how do I want those students to be shaped and formed? What do I want to have them take with them when they graduate? And so that's one way to kind of answer that question is, what do I want to ensure that these students take with them? And of course, it's firmly rooting their identity primarily in the love of God and Jesus Christ. I hope that when they graduate, that they take with them the reality that their identity, first and foremost, is rooted in God's love and Jesus. And that's really what I hope they take with them when they graduate. And in terms of working myself out of a job, I hope that happens on a daily basis. I found that one of the most powerful ways for students to help to explore their faith, to discover what they truly believe, is to put them in positions of leadership. Putting students in positions of leadership means a willingness on my part to express humility and step back and give them space to lead. Sometimes it works out well. Sometimes it's a horrible disaster, and it's a wonderful learning opportunity. But being able to make space for students to practice and exercise putting their faith into action, particularly in leadership, means that I have to step back a little bit and give them space to do that. So I see that in worship. I see that in small group. I see that in lots of our Bible studies and our conversations that we have to allow students to make that space for them to do that work.
Sure. So I know as a board member of GreenvilleWesley that we've talked about ways in which to help. We've also talked about the idea that sometimes, Fremont United Methodist Church is not at your back door. Jarvis Memorial happens to be, but Fremont United Methodist is not at your back door. It's a good 45-minute jaunt up the road to get to you. And so it requires some thoughtfulness, because sometimes when things are out of sight, they're also out of mind.
Right.
But I know that the work that we are doing with GreenvilleWesley matters. And I have experienced that myself. And we did create the video that everybody saw before you and I began talking here today. But what are ways that Fremont United Methodist Church could assist GreenvilleWesley? What are ways that you think of that you could ask a small church 45 minutes away to be of assistance to you and your ministry? Because I do see your space as kind of a satellite church of all the United Methodist churches around it, because we have young people that we can be sending from our congregations to you, and thinking of you as not just a mission field, but a worshiping congregation that needs that assistance from other mama and daddy,
Right.
brother, sister kind of congregations.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're part of a family called United Methodism. And as with any good family, we need each other. We're part of a collective community. And so we talk about the importance of community for students. It's awesome and vitally important to be able to show how important that community is. Of course, that means being able to show that the breadth and depth of United Methodism. I can't do that alone. I need congregations to join me alongside in that work. And so I think, firstly, the ways in which congregations like yours can be a part of our work is to just do what you do already well. Being a prayerful place. Your people pray. And so praying for students, remembering those days, maybe yourself or loved ones who've been to college, remembering what time of the year it is, and specifically praying for the needs of college students, praying for and with students by name. That would be awesome to have some prayer partners of students. And so being able to leverage what you're already doing. We talk about the importance of community with students, but my ministry as a campus ministry is primarily grounded in this idea that students are in a very similar season of life. Though it's becoming less true, most students are typically 18 to 22, are single or maybe newly married. And so that generates a very similar response and way of living. And so being able to expand that understanding of who God is requires other people. And those other people are you as a church. So being able to provide intergenerational opportunities for conversation about a wide variety of topics about how faith interacts with your life, those are helpful perspectives to have that I just don't have as a campus minister, and these students don't have typically as college students. So those are some of the specific ways, and I think I'll go back to the easiest one, telling our story. It's easy today when you turn on the news or read your newspaper to hear about just bad news or news that's depressing. Or the assumption that becomes firmly rooted that young people are just up to no good. Of course, we know that's not true, but being able to tell the story otherwise sometimes can be hard. And so our campus ministry is up to good things. And so being able to tell that story to other people, to be able to be cheerleaders, to say, yeah, actually, you know what, college students, there are good college students who are doing good things. There are college students who love Jesus. There are college students at ECU that are up to good stuff. And let me tell you about this campus ministry and this wonderful ministry opportunity for students. Being able to be cheerleaders for us and with us, that helps to tell the narrative in our annual conference for future students that might come to ECU or any other university that might seek out to explore their faith, because college is this really great time to explore faith, whether it's at ECU or a United Methodist campus ministry. College students have such a wonderful opportunity to try and figure out and begin that lifelong exploration of discerning who God is and what God's calling them to do and be in the world.
Sure. Well, I do appreciate your time a whole lot. I don't know what order they're going to see this in, but you're my first of the recording of these pieces, and I am thankful for this opportunity. But I would also, as prayer is important, like to be able to pray for you and GreenvilleWesley if we could do that today.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right, everybody, let's bow together. Gracious and loving God, in this place and space, through the power of the Holy Spirit, we ask that you touch Jeremy and all the students at GreenvilleWesley and all the students that are in all of the Methodist affiliated circumstances throughout the world. You know what is on the hearts of these young people, and you know that a lot of them are asking hard questions. So Lord, I pray for Jeremy and people like him as they are walking with our young people. Help us as a congregation to find unique ways to walk alongside GreenvilleWesley as they do the work of your church, as we are growing disciples for the transformation of the world. And may there be a hedge of protection around the entire East Carolina University system as they walk this spring through a pandemic and educating students and the challenges that come. All these things we lift in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, friend. I appreciate it.
Oh, certainly. It is always my pleasure. And so for friends, this is GreenvilleWesley, and this is Jeremy Benton, and he is the leader, the very brave man who does this important work in the lives of many men and women
that come into his presence. And I'll tell you, if you ever get a chance to hang out with Jeremy, it is a blessing to be able to do that with him.
Likewise, friend.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit. This was great. This is good. Thank you.